End of an era, July 26th, when one of the last tech CEOs of the 1990s, a real giant in the industry, can't really say he's stepping down. He's stepping up to become executive chairman. But during his 20-year tenure as CEO of Cisco, John Chambers oversaw, look at this, 174 acquisitions. He added more than 27,000 jobs and increased revenue by more than 2,000%. As the tech landscape, though, evolves now at breakneck speed, why is now the time for longtime CEO John Chambers to retire, and what type of shape does he leave Cisco in? Joining me now, John Chambers. John, did you see this news on Salesforce.com? And we know maybe it's in play, but when you look at that, and you're in the heart of Silicon Valley, it's kind of an exciting time, is it not, for the cloud, which of course is something that Salesforce, Oracle, Microsoft is very interested in being in?
That is correct, Liz. You're talking about two things going on at the same time. The first is every country, every company in the world will go digital. And as that happens, cloud, mobility, security, collaboration, convergence of compute with storage, with the network, all of those factors are coming together. And that will probably power a decade-plus growth in the IT industry, much like the 1990s did in the Internet in terms of growth opportunities.
Well, of all those,
in parallel, you're going to see in my...
Of all those 174 acquisitions, you know, swallowing, say, for example, a $46 billion Salesforce.com, that's a big fish, isn't it? It's got to be a big company out there that would be able to do that.
Well, that is correct, Liz, and I can't comment specifically on the companies because all of you mentioned, I know them very, very well. But in terms of large acquisitions, that's something we don't personally do. We do small to medium type acquisitions. But the point I was about to make is this industry is going to consolidate. Even though it's going to be in a period of growth for a decade, you're going to see the consolidation of the top IT players. I've said for quite a while, out of the top, let's say 6, only 3 of us will be major players 5 years from now. And so it'll be a combination of consolidation and musical chairs. And I think what you're seeing with a world-class company like Salesforce is they're an asset that a lot of people would love to have access to in terms of the direction. Mark Benioff, the head of Salesforce, is a really good guy. He was on my board for 2 years.
Yeah, I know.
And he's a personal friend.
Well, we'll be interested to see what happens there, but it's spiking and then moderating just a bit. John, I think I've asked you every time I've seen you over the last 4 years, what's the succession plan? Why the decision to leave now?
Well, if you were to look at it, Liz, almost 3 years ago when you asked me, I think for about the second or third time, and I think it was in Davos, you said, well, you're about to face another challenge in the company. Are you really going to stay on for the long run? And I said, absolutely, to get us through this challenge. And at that time, I said 2 to 4 years. We're exactly 3 years later. At that time, we were being challenged by new challengers and new technologies. And fast forward to where we are today, my wish at that time and my aspirations was for us to be in a very strong market momentum again, which we clearly are, for us to have an internally developed, ideally great CEO person to come in. That has occurred with Chuck, and a aspirational wish is for us to be on the cusp of our next decade of growth, much like we were in the 90s with the Internet boom. I think we are on that with the digitization opportunity. Cisco is front and center in almost every technology change that's going on here that enables every company, every country to become digital.
Well, we wish Chuck Robbins...
So the answer is it's the perfect time.
And we wish Chuck Robbins, who's a 17-year veteran, the best of luck. But one of the challenges he really might have is the broadband area, John. Broadband services at Cisco, I believe, have declined in revenue, down about 19% in the quarter that ended in January. That's what everybody wants right now. They want Speedy Gonzalez. They want it now. I know if my computer takes 2 seconds now, I'm saying, Mike, what? Come on, really? I need a new laptop. How do you get there?
Yes. Well, Liz, you know, I love it that you're not going easy on me on our interview right after I announced my movement to the next level, and I would not have expected anything else. To the point where you're leading me, every other country in the world, whether you're India, China, France, Germany, UK, is saying, what do we have to do to get broadband built out across the country? In the U.S., we're going the opposite way. We are not saying, how do we incent companies to rebuild up broadband very fast? The country, if we do not move quicker on our digital agenda, much like France has already done, by the way, partner with Cisco architecturally, much like Germany is doing with the Industry 4.0, much like the UK is doing under Cameron's leadership, much like Modi is doing in India and the Chinese leadership are doing, this is about a race for the future on how do you drive your GDP growth, etc. In the 90s, during this boom, 22 million jobs are created. Average GDP growth was in the mid to upper teens. Average per capita income growth for about 7 years there was in the mid to upper teens. We have a chance to replicate that if we really, as a country, become a digital country. And we are not moving near fast enough.
Yeah, we got
Your point about broadband, that is the transaction. It's just the symptom of a bigger opportunity or challenge if we don't get back ahead of our peers.
Which to that point, John, the service provider community, names like AT&T, Verizon, they make up about a good chunk of your revenues, about a quarter of it. Today, Netflix urged the FCC to reject the AT&T DirecTV merger. They say the deal would have incentive and ability to harm online video distributors. I know you know all these companies involved, but how would it impact Cisco if that type of merger is derailed?
We will do fine either way these transactions go, whether it's Time Warner with Comcast, whether it's Deutsche Telekom with one of the players that pursued them, whether it's AT&T with DirecTV. I personally believe that you need about 3 to 4 competitors, and that's all you really need in a marketplace that will allow enough competition so that we as consumers get very good prices, but also provide them the capability to make money so they can invest in the future. So my own view is that the DirecTV AT&T move is a good move and should be improved, but I had the same view about Comcast and Time Warner.
Wow.
I think we have to be very careful. What Europe's learned, 27 different service providers competing against each other, doesn't allow any of them to build out the structure that is needed for the future. And if you watch what Germany and France are doing, they're actually encouraging their companies to build out the broadband within their countries. So I think we've got to be very careful here.
Yeah, you want these companies to be able to grow and compete and then merge, but not hurt the consumer. John, wishing you the best of luck. This is not the end for us, okay? I wouldn't accept that, please. It's been a pleasure to be interviewing you as the CEO. We wish Chuck the best of luck. He's invited here on Fox Business anytime. And congratulations on the move on and up.
Liz, it's a pleasure. I look forward to being on your show in the future, and we'll make sure Chuck gets on there as well. You have a great day.
Thank you, John. John Chambers of Cisco saying, you know what, he's not surprised that Salesforce might be in play. It's an incredible company. Mark Benioff, a great leader. He sat on the Cisco board, and obviously, John is a big fan of at least these kinds of mergers between AT&T and DirecTV. That is news. Closing bell.